Hello and welcome to Football League World TV. My name's Ned Holmes and this is the Efl Wednesday Preview show. We've got 5 games from League One and League Two to dig our teeth into this lunchtime. And I'm just delighted to say I'm joined by my colleagues Billy Mulley and Marcus Ali. Billy, how you doing, mate?
Doing well, thank you. Yeah, as you say, there was some League One, League Two action tonight, and looking forward to actually getting to go to a new ground for me.
Absolutely. And how about you, Marcus?
Yeah, really well, thank you. I'm still buzzing off the high of Charlton's 2-0 win over Ipswich last night. But it's been a great way, I think, to get off the back of a FA Cup weekend straight in with lots of League One, League Two action this midweek.
Absolutely. So as I said, 5 games from League One and League Two for us to look at this lunchtime. Before we get started, just a reminder to click like on this video on YouTube and subscribe to Football League World TV on YouTube as well. And of course, to get involved via the comments. We want to hear your sort of score predictions, your comments or any questions you've got for the guys. We'll start in League One then, where Wigan host Shrewsbury Town. Billy, coming to you, the Latics can move back to second with a win here. Is that what you're expecting to see this evening?
Yeah, I think so. I think with Wigan this season, they're the only other club that I would compare to Rotherham where they haven't had that lack of consistency that other clubs have fared with so far. Obviously, a team full of Championship level talent. If you look right through the squad, they're a team that will be well equipped for the Championship if they do go up. So yeah, I'm expecting another win here. Shrewsbury have been a little bit revitalised in recent weeks. 8 points from the last 5, and I don't like to mention it when Marcus is here, but it's they're the only team to beat Chelsea in the Johnny Jackson era. So in that respect, I'm not too sure if we can expect a too convincing Wigan win, but ultimately I think they are superior in terms of squad, in terms of depth, in terms of individual battles on the pitch. I think they are a good side and should go on to win this quite convincingly.
Marcus, I mean, Billy touched on it slightly there. You know, obviously Wigan are unbeaten since late October in League One. But Shrewsbury have proven a difficult side to beat in recent weeks. Can you see them sort of causing their hosts some problems tonight and potentially getting a result?
Not particularly. I think it's going to be really tough. Shrewsbury are, I think, the worst team away from home in League One this season. Just 2 draws and 7 defeats, yet to win a league game on the road this season is really tough to take for Steve Cottrell's men, particularly when you go into a side like Wigan, who are sitting 4th, but they're top of the table on points per game, and they'll be keen to sort of push home that advantage in this matchup. Daniel Udoh scored in each of his last 3 league games for Shrewsbury Town, so that's a little bit of a crumb of comfort going into what is going to be a really difficult game. I agree with Billy. Wigan, along with Rotherham, have looked the most consistent side in the division, so I think Steve Cottrell, from a Shrews point of view, probably goes into this match thinking that anything will be a bonus, and if they can compete and keep the margins as fine as possible, then that would be a successful performance from the Shrews.
Absolutely. Billy, sort of Marcus talked about the man scoring the goals for Shrewsbury at the moment. Will Keane and Callum Lang have got 8 goals between them in their last 4 games for Wigan. How difficult do you think it's going to be for the Shrews to sort of stop them this evening?
Very difficult, because obviously they both offer that goal scoring threat, but they're both very intelligent players who are working well off each other at the moment. I think that kind of relationship's difficult to break down, difficult to defend, and difficult to manage in game for Shrewsbury. Obviously, as Marcus said there, the Shrews have struggled massively away from home, and coming to a ground like the DW Stadium is going to be very, very difficult for them. I know Wigan haven't been as dominant at home as they have been away, which is quite rare for a team, but it's the way that it's faring out at the moment. But I think those 2 in particular, and when you target your focus on those 2 players, and you've got the sort of James McLean as well, who's been brilliant, and sort of the midfield as well, who have got the sort of creative abilities as well as the tough tackling tendencies to really put in another good performance and strengthen their promotion bid.
Absolutely. And what's your score prediction tonight then, Billy?
I'm going to go for 2-0 Wigan. I think quite a routine victory for them.
Absolutely. And what about you, Marcus?
Same margin, 3-1 Wigan for me. I don't think they've been as defensively solid as they were at the start of the season in recent weeks. So maybe Shrewsbury can get a goal to make it interesting at some stage, but I think Wigan have just got too much quality.
So that's fairly comprehensive wins predicted from both Billy and Marcus. But if you want to get your predictions in the comments, then we'll make sure to read them out and sort of review what you've got to say. The other League One game tonight in the EFL sees Plymouth travel to MK Dons. Argyle, of course, playing their first game under Stephen Schumacher after Ryan Lowe left to replace Frankie McAvoy at Preston. Marcus, just how big of a blow do you think that is for Plymouth? Are you expecting a sort of a negative impact tonight on the back of that? Or could we see sort of a new boss bounce under Schumacher to help them end that sort of run of 3 losses in a row?
The answer is I don't know. In the short term, I think it's a positive that they've got Ryan Lowe sort of long-term right-hand man in the job for now, just to try and continue his good work. I can't see any changes sort of systematically or in their approach in the coming weeks, although it is, of course, a really tough match for your first in senior management for Stephen Schumacher. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they get on. I think him staying there in the dugout will give the players a boost. It just makes it seem like a bit less of a loss. I think if you had Schumacher follow Lowe to Preston and then more of an outside face taking the reins, it would be a little bit more of a breakdown and a little bit tougher on the players. But I think Schumacher should be able to keep them punching above their weight, that you could say. So yeah, I think it's definitely a positive that he's stayed there and should give the players a little bit more confidence. Although, of course, MK Dons have been so good this season, so it's going to be difficult. They've won 6 games and drawn 1 and lost 2 at home this season, and those 2 losses were to Rotherham and Sunderland. So if Plymouth are going to throw their name in the hat, it's going to have to be a really big performance. Both these sides like to have a lot of possession of the football during matches, so it's going to be interesting to see whether any team kind of is willing to sacrifice that or are going to try and continue to hold on to it. So it's a really intriguing matchup. And of course, with the added spectacle of Schumacher's first match in charge.
Absolutely. As Marcus says, Billy, an enticing sort of spectacle tonight, an interesting game. You'll be there covering it for Football League World for if you'll excuse the very poor joke, Schumacher's first job at the wheel. MK Dons, obviously a difficult test. They can leapfrog their opponents, move into 6th with a win tonight. You know, I guess it's hard to look past sort of Scott Twine and Matt O'Reilly as the 2 players that are sort of going to give them the best chance of doing that, isn't it?
Yeah, as you say, there's big incentives for both to win tonight. And as you were saying there, Twine and O'Reilly are 2 big players for MK Dons, 2 central players, providing sort of a central threat. And whilst they do have their wing backs, Kyoso has been impressive this season, providing a threat from out wide. It is from central areas that they do hurt teams and do break down their opposition. So it's going to be interesting to see if Plymouth can manage to stop that threat. And as Marcus was saying there, they're a team that also like to get on the football and make things happen and dominate possession. So it'll be an interesting dynamic to see who can dominate that midfield battle and the possession statistics. And just touching on Lowe there, I think that you can draw a few comparisons to MK Dons when Russell Martin left. Liam Manning came in and that style of football remained. So I think that with Schumacher coming in, I don't think there would be too many systematical changes or formational changes. In terms of confidence, that's the only factor I can see changing because of this managerial appointment. But yeah, I'm expecting a good game between 2 good teams.
And what are you expecting the score to finish as tonight then, Billy?
I think MK Dons might edge it. I think given the nature of their games as well, it might be quite a high-scoring affair. I might go for a 3-2 win. 3-2
for Billy then. And what about you, Marcus?
I'm going 2-1 MK Dons. Similar reasoning behind it. Obviously, Plymouth losing their last 3. They face Sunderland and Charlton after this one as well. So it is a really tough run of 6 matches. I don't think we'll really be in a position to judge Schumacher until a lot further down the line. So I think they can put in a positive display. but I think MK Dons are the better side at the moment, so 2-1.
So MK Dons have the backing of the Football League World team, it seems, ahead of tonight's game, and next move into League Two. Before we get started with our sort of League Two preview, just a reminder for any fans watching, send in your thoughts or your predictions for any of the games. We move down to League Two, as I said, and first Barrow hosting Northwest rivals Salford City. The hosts on a dreadful run of late, Billy, losing 4 of their last 5 League Two games. Salford City should really be licking their lips here, shouldn't they?
Yeah, 4 points from the last 9, haven't scored in the last 4. But I think the problem with Salford this year is that they just haven't capitalised when they have had a good spell of form or a couple of good results to sort of make us think that they're going to be in the playoff picture. So it's about winning games like this to propel their position and to strengthen them in our minds to actually go on and secure a top 7 place. I think the main factor with Salford is that consistency, and luckily enough for them, I think they're benefiting from quite a tight playoff pack at the moment. The sort of the top 7 teams haven't run off in the way that you tend to expect at this point of the season, that even with their sort of difficult start to the campaign, they're within 7 points of the top 7. So in that respect, I think they'll be licking their lips and knowing that a win tonight will take them to 4 points, and that should be enough of an incentive to go out and play a good game of football against this side that have struggled really. I think they can take a little bit of confidence from the FA Cup result and performance, but ultimately not scoring in the last 4 league games, he's not good enough. And I think with Mark Cooper, there's been a lot of talk about the January transfer window already. Suggests he's not too content with the squad he's got at his disposal at the moment. So it seems that he's just waiting for the window to open so he can bolster his squad to his liking.
Marcus, coming to you then, as Billy said, these are the sort of games really that you think Salford need to be winning if they are going to sort of propel themselves up that table. But which way do you see this one going?
It's a tricky one. I think Barrow are much better than their league position suggests. We saw how cutthroat they were with managers last season. David Dunn and Michael Jolly were sacked quite impatiently, you could say, considering how Barrow were playing at the time. So I think looking ahead to the January transfer window, Mark Cooper might not even be there if he doesn't start picking up some positive results between maybe the next 3 game stretch. But Salford are the better team in terms of form. When we're looking at the recent form, it only points to one type of result. You could look at Barrow's concerning run, but as Billy mentioned, not scoring in the last 5 games makes it even more worrying. And the way that they've slid down the table at quite an alarming rate. So I do think Barrow are better than their league position suggests. I don't think they're going to be completely embroiled in a relegation battle this season. However, Salford come into this one looking the much better side. And yeah, I'm not really sure if Mark Cooper is getting his methods across to the players at the moment. So it's pointing towards a Salford win for me.
So a Salford win, you think, or what sort of scoreline are you looking at?
I'm going for a 2-0. So yeah, the barren run to carry on for Barrow.
And what about you, Billy?
I'm going to go for a 1-0 draw. I think it'll be another case of Salford failing to capitalise on a few good results.
So a slight bit of respite for Barrow predicted by Billy there. Bradford City, another team sort of desperate for a win, really. They host Colchester United with the Bantams now having gone 5 games without one. Marcus, coming to you, what do you think is going wrong at Valley Parade at the moment?
Finishing. I think that's a big problem. They're still creating chances. They sit 4th in terms of expected goals generated this season in League Two, also 4th for expected goals against. So to be sat 14th is a huge underperformance. They've won just 2 of their last 15 games as well, drawing 8 of them. But no matter what the data says, a run of 2 wins in 15 games, league games that is as well, is completely unacceptable when you look at the squad at Bradford's disposal. So if it wasn't for the miraculous job that Derek Adams did with Morecambe last season, I probably think he would have been dismissed of his duties by now. So they've got the players. They've had some injuries in key areas, and maybe they will act swiftly when the January transfer window comes. But yeah, something's not quite clicking. I do think it'll turn eventually, but considering the gap between them and the top 7 is 7 points already, it needs to be pretty sharpish, even to have a little bit more in their arsenal to convince players to sign in January with them getting closer to the playoff places. So I think this match is as close to being a must-win as it has been so far this season for the Bantams.
Billy, Marcus talked there about, that Bradford's, I guess, poor run in front of goal at the moment, that lack of a finishing touch. Freddie Sears has 5 in his last 7 for Colchester. He's clearly not sort of having that sort of issue. His form's been key for them getting some results in sort of recent weeks, and he's likely to be a key man tonight again, isn't he?
Yeah, he could be a player that shows what Bradford are missing at the moment. Obviously been a veteran in the EFL for a long time, scored goals at majority of clubs he's been at. So he's a player that knows where the back of the net is. He's intelligent in terms of his movement and getting in behind, and he's also got sort of the intelligence of helping others and guiding others into good positions as well. So he's a player that really can do it all as a striker at League 2 level, and I think he's proven that with his goal scoring record and his general performances at the moment. I think Colchester as a collective, I think their key this season has been their performances and results against teams that are in and around them, and I think that's when Sears has shined and really announced himself again and proved himself. And it's quite interesting that he's having this kind of season, especially with Sylvester Jasper coming in. I thought that he would sort of pass the torch on to him in terms of issuing his guidance and helping him develop as a player and going that way. But it's the other way at the moment, and it's Sears that's proven to be integral to the way that Colchester are playing, and I think that could be a huge factor in a game against a team that are not scoring enough goals and are lacking that final third activity.
And do you see as being enough of a factor tonight then? What's your prediction?
I'm really stuck with this one. I don't like going for consecutive 1-1s in my prediction, but I feel like I'm going to have to in this one. So yeah, I'll go 1-1.
Another 1-1 draw for Billy. Marcus, you called this as sort of as close to a must-win for Bradford as any game's been this season. Are they going to do it?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty bullish about Bradford tonight. I'll go 2-0. Early goal, settle the nerves, cliche, but they do need a pressure relieving win and to start reducing that gap on the playoff places. Maybe in a similar position to Salford that we just talked about, that they definitely need to put themselves in a more realistic position to break into the playoff places going into the January transfer window, and I think they can start doing that this evening.
Fantastic. Well, next we move on to our third and final League 2 game. Graham Lee earned his first win as Hartlepool United boss in the FA Cup on the weekend. Marcus, coming to you first. What have you made? What did you make of the appointment? And can he sort of follow up that with a League 2 win tonight?
Well, first of all, I think it was just a bit of a relief to get one over the line. It did drag on a little bit, this process of appointing Dave Challoner's successor. It does feel like there's a real positive feeling around the club with Graham Lee's history. Also, his assistant has come in with a long history of being involved at Victoria Park as well. So I think it is a positive appointment that should hopefully stop the Pulses sort of slide down the table after we saw them flirting with those playoff places towards the beginning of the campaign. It's hard to predict how he's going to sort of step up from a job with Middlesbrough under 23s, but it's clearly in his blood. The passion's there, and I'm sure that the supporters will definitely take to him. They've been so good at home as well, so it's going to be a difficult trip for Rochdale tonight.
Absolutely. Billy, moving on to focus on the visitors tonight, they've made themselves quite a difficult team to beat in recent months. What would you say that their sort of success in that regard has come down to?
I think it must be sort of the League One pedigree that they do possess. They still possess a lot of players from last season's relegation, and in truth, I think a lot of their performances would have justified staying in the division. So I think they do have a core group of players that are good enough to be challenging at the top end of this division and the lower end of League One. So I think that's what we're starting to see. And I think it's 8 games now that they're unbeaten, and that's come against the likes of Sutton, Salford, Swindon, Leyton Orient and Exeter. So they're all very, very good teams at this level, and they're managing to either win games or keep them to a draw. So at the moment, I'd be positive if I was a Rochdale fan. I'd be expecting bigger and better things in the second half of the campaign, maybe add in a couple of positions that could help them have that extra firepower to turn those draws into victories. But all in all, I think when looking at it all in the bigger picture, I think they'll be quite proud and quite happy with where they're at. And I think this is another opportunity to build and extend that unbeaten run.
An opportunity then, Billy, and obviously, as you said, they have got some good results against some of the top teams in League Two this season. Do you see them getting a result tonight? What's your prediction?
Yeah, I do see them getting a result tonight. I think Graham Lee is an excellent appointment, and I think he'll turn the fortunes at Hartlepool, and I think it will end up being a good appointment. But I don't think anything will happen too soon in terms of a miraculous turn of form. I see Rochdale winning this narrowly, but I'll go for a 2-1 win.
And what about you, Marcus?
I'm seeing goals as well. I'll go 3-2 to Dale. I think Hartlepool should be able to put in a spirited display in front of the home crowd, but I think the likes of Alex Newby and Abraham Oddo just got a little bit too much invention in the final third. So 3-2 Rochdale.
Fantastic. Well, I hope you enjoyed our insight on the FLW midweek preview on this Wednesday for the 5 EFL games tonight. Billy, Marcus, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and thanks everyone for watching.